Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Hey, yeah. Welcome to the Committee for Racial Justice. This is our January workshop. This is the first workshop of 2024. And we are in 2011, an African-American member of the Santa Monica High School wrestling team was held against his will by two white teammates while there were chants of slave for sale and a noose was hung nearby. That's how we started. When we heard about that, we went to the high school, the Santa Monica Unified School District meeting, and we said, this is not right. And so many of us went there. There was about 30 of us who went there and spoke up in our 3 minutes. And then I just announced there would be a workshop at the, and so there was our first workshop, and that's how we started. So the community came together at that time. The racially charged incident and the district's slow response were the catalyst for the formation of the Committee for Racial Justice. The committee consists of parents of students at Santa Monica High School, students, community members, and clergy. We hold monthly workshops at Virginia Avenue Park, and we do things in between in various areas of racism and anti-racism. Our mission statement: with the conviction that all human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, we are committed to combating all forms of racial injustice, covert and overt, whether individualized or systemic, that still take place in our community. While racism affects many cultural groups, we are especially drawn to focus on the severe impact it has on the African American community. And this evening, we have come back to education, where we started, in the school board and the school districts with Shirley Compton, and I'm going to turn it over now to Angela. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Before we actually formally kick this off, number one, we are having technical difficulties. So we are working to get our screen up and going. I believe we have an update from Michelle Wittig. So Michelle, I'm going to hand off to you.
Okay, thanks so much. I want to say, first of all, that I'm getting over the hacking cough from hell. So I'm going to make my report very, very short. Also out of respect for the time that we want to give to our main speaker. I've been attending meetings of the Public Safety Reform and Oversight Commission, along with members of this group called CPR, the Coalition for Police Reform. And what I want to tell you tonight is that even though my report is going to be very brief, I put my email address in the chat, and I'll be saying it out loud because I'm going to host a Zoom meeting on Tuesday, January the 9th at 5:30 p.m. to give you an update on the report which the Santa Monica Police Department submitted to that commission back in July. It was on the stops that the police department makes with respect to the race, gender, and other perceived characteristics of those who are stopped. The question that this report is designed to answer is, are there racial disparities in the individuals whom our police officers stop? And if so, what is responsible for those racial disparities? Because I only have a brief amount of time, I want to say what the Public Safety Commission said in response to the report. The Black community makes up 4.3% of Santa Monica's population, yet they comprise 15.4% of the total number of stops made by the Santa Monica Police Department. In other words, people perceived to be African American are more than 3.5 times more likely to be stopped than would be expected from the share of self-identified African Americans in the U.S. Census count of Santa Monica's residential population. And that includes an estimate of the homeless population as well. Of course, the residential population isn't the whole story. Police stop people 24/7, not just residents, but also commuters and tourists as well. So there's a big controversy as to what those data mean. The commission concluded the following, quote, "One thing is certain, the data is a red flag that needs addressing." I couldn't agree more. However, many people in the city, including members of the Police Officers Association, question whether this racial disproportionality is accurate, compelling, or even relevant. So I'm going to ask some questions in my Zoom seminar on Tuesday and try to answer them for you. How effective is it for SMPD officers to be cruising in their cars, stopping drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians on a hunch that they might be criminals? How well does this work? What are the yield rates for finding evidence of criminality or contraband? Could some portion of that officer's time be deployed more effectively in other ways? So I'll stop there and just promise you that we will be trying to answer those two unanswered questions. Here they are. They're called conditional probabilities. Given that a violation is observed, does race factor into whether or not the person is stopped? That's one question. The other is about the yield rates. Given that a person is stopped, what are the chances that evidence of criminality is found, and does that differ by race? If these questions sound compelling to you and you want to get into the weeds, please send me your email address or put it in the chat, and I will send you the link to the Zoom that I'll have on Tuesday. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Michelle. And if you are here in person, if you're interested, please include your email address back there on the sign-in sheet. So I'm going to give a little bit of background before we invite our esteemed panelists today. Again, as Janet mentioned, we are now celebrating the first year of the Black Apology. This year, we are going to call it the Year of Action, right? And so we're going to be looking at the themes that resonates out of the Black Apology in many ways. Today we're focusing on education. One of my favorite things. And we will look at how. Oh, yeah. Oh. And so like I said, so we're going to be talking throughout the year on the Black Apology. What are we doing as far as education? What are we doing as far as housing, finance? How are we empowering our residents and visitors that are here in Santa Monica that are Black or identified as Black? Dr. Shirley Compton is a third-generation Santa Monica resident who attended all of our local public schools and graduated from Loyola Marymount University with degrees in sociology and African American studies. She studied abroad in Ghana, West Africa, as an ambassador for the university. Shirley also attended Chapman University for her teaching credential and the University of Laverne for her master's in education administration. As an educator, she has experience teaching elementary through high school in our esteemed district here. She serves at the Santa Monica community as an award-winning teacher at John Adams Middle School, JAMS, assistant principal at JAMS and Grant Elementary School, and principal of Grant Elementary School. She completed her dissertation in 21st century teaching and learning at Concordia University in Portland, Oregon. She supported her Santa Monica community as a member of the Virginia Avenue Park Advisory Board, that's here, and Parent Connection Group, PCG, and Several High Black Parent Group. She is currently supporting 8 LAUSD schools as an instructional coordinator for the Black Student Achievement Plan. And I am excited just to hear what entails with that plan and how we can look to create something similar here
She also owns and operates the Global Citizen Leadership, a 501c3 public service organization in education and advocacy consulting LLC. When the Santa Monica City Council officially voted to adopt a resolution that was an apology to its Black citizens in December of 2023, commitments were made by City Council. So again, over this year, we're going to be unpeeling and exploring, discovering, and hopefully landing on some actionable changes. Let's hear it for, oh, wait, hold on. Robbie Jones.
Thank you. No, not Dr. Shirley, but I just want to let you guys know why we're really here. And, well, thank God we're here. But, you know, CRJ has decided, you know, because we're really committed to this community and this Black apology. This was no joke for us. We've been a whole year working with council on creating our own apology, basically. You know, no shade, really, kind of, sort of, to the council, but we did that. And so we were serious when we came up also with a full watch list of actionable items that and low-hanging fruit, things that they could do that don't cost money, because, you know, what do your dad always tell you when you go ask for money when you got no money, right? Okay, so we chose some things that they could do. To this date, nothing has happened really, other than listening sessions. How many people know CRJ's been doing listening sessions for over 11 years, 12 years? How many years, Jim? Long time. 12 years. So, you know, the data is there. Something when you know what needs to be done, but you don't do anything. That speaks volumes, and it definitely speaks volumes to this community, because I've lived here over 6 years, and I'm not seeing it yet. So this is the year that our CRJ steering committee got together and said, as Angela said, you know, we need to bring it to the community and let them know what's happening, and let them know, let's see what else they feel we can do to push these action items forward. Start some movement, start some healing for the Black community, and not just let the empty promises talk. You're going to say, talk the talk, you don't walk the walk. Yeah, we need to see some things happening in a big way. We understand we had the right to return. That was a flop. I never quit hearing community members say, well, how can we do the right to return when our great grandmother passed away and there's no documents, and you know, how do we do that? And the police said, well, we have somebody to help you, but so that's not, so it's not really to, but it is showing, throwing shade, but it's also, we're here to help. Again, CRJ, that's what we're here for. We're here to help the community, and we're doing that, of course, starting with education and bringing back our own. Dr. Shirley Compton, that grew up here, right down the street from me, went to Santa Monica High School and is an amazing person for our community. And, you know, I can't say enough about her, so come on up here, girl. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, CRJ. Anything for Robbie Jones? I don't remember where we were here. Oh, we were talking about the Black apology. And I came to one of the sessions, and I wanted to know what was the status of some of the things that happened over a year ago, December 2022. And then Robbie said she heard about the work I was doing now and asked if I would come here on a panel. So I'm glad I'm on this panel. And then I'm getting a panel with Janet, who I adore. So, and I have seen CRJ do this work all of my professional career, more so than, you know, even churches that look just like me. So I'm proud to be here and be invited. I'm honored to stand in front of Janet and her committee for racial justice and the community. So thank you all for coming, especially anybody on city council, anybody with our district office, our dignitaries in the house and online. Thank you all. I gotta say thank you for taking the time to come in here. I'm not standing up here in terms of LAUSD is doing anything, that Santa Monica can't be doing, so to speak, or that LAUSD is now doing 100% better by Black kids. That is not the purpose of tonight. But it is to share with you a plan that LAUSD came up with for Black students that has been revolutionary, and that we haven't seen anywhere else in the nation. And so we are tapped often, our department, which is called the Black Student Achievement Department of LAUSD. We're tapped often to go speak and to show other states and districts what our plan is for supporting Black students. So Shirley, Compton, you've heard my bio. Currently, I'm one of 15 district administrators, and we are assigned 8 schools each in LAUSD. Part of a Black Student Achievement Plan that was created 2020-2021 school year. And so during that time, there was George Floyd, there was a pandemic, there was a lot of just social unrest, and there were a lot of social, demands that people were making. And I'm gonna say the young people, right? Like I'm so proud of this young generation, Waverly and all these types, who are really, showing us that the 60s aren't dead, right? And I heard something, the word you used, Angela, you said something about activism or something this year. And for BSAP, our focus is transformational activism, transformative activism, meaning change agents. So what am I up to? There's 15 of us. We are literally headquartered at district office, downtown LA, but we're in the field every single day. I go to 2 schools a day. And what this 2020-21 plan did was it laid out 5 tenets. First off, it defined Black student success. And a lot of what you'll see me talking about today is on our website, lausd.org/BSA. If you want to follow along with me, I'm literally reading from there as we speak, lausd.org/BSA. So in 2020-2021, over $300 million earmarked from the Board of Education, LAUSD, to support Black student achievement. There is a brilliant man named Dr. Jared Dupree. And for his dissertation, Dr. Jared Dupree wrote this Black student achievement plan. And what he did is he looked at the data for Black students in the pattern over 10, 15, 20 years. And he saw, just like Santa Monica Malibu Unified, Black student test scores consistently at the bottom when compared to other races. And he asked the question many of us have been asking, what are we going to do about it? And of course, that any organization's budget, it shows their priorities. And so there was a lot of organizing that 2020-2021, including Dr. George McKenna, a school board member. Many of our board members are here, as you may know. Dr. George McKenna of LAUSD, he backed this plan to support Black student achievement. So Dr. Jared Dupree laid out a plan to support high priority schools, how to fund that support. Not only how to support them, but how to fund it. So started with 100 schools the first year of this program, and it's on 3 years, and it's been 3 years since its inception. So start with the 100 schools where Black students are doing the worst. And let's look at why, and let's give them everything they need to support them doing better. Extra staff, you name it. And then added more schools. And your support, as far as the school, your money, your funding was based on Black student enrollment. So schools with the most Black students not doing well got the most money. So here we are, it's 3rd year. And again, when it first started, I will say, to be one of these administrators, we're called instructional coordinators, you had to have experience as a successful school principal. You couldn't even be hired unless you had successful school principal experience under your belt. And they were looking for people who also were close to the communities, I also had a success rate in helping with Black student unions. You also have to be able to do professional developments for teachers. And so let me tell you a bit about what I've done. I started July 1 in this position. And the whole month of July, we went to conferences. We learned from others. We looked at data, dug through all 8 of my schools' budgets, looked at their numbers as far as Black students, the deficits, where Black students not performing well. Looking in a couple of areas, but especially attendance. If you're not at school, how you gonna learn? Looking at attendance, looking at how they felt once they got there. So, okay, I come to school every day, do I feel welcome? So looking at the social emotional. We also took a look at test scores, obviously, the math and the English. Also, any type of special education disproportionality, we also took a look at. And so all July, I went to conferences. I brought some books to share. For those of you online, this is We Want to Do More Than Survive: Abolitionist Teaching and the Pursuit of Educational Freedom by Dr. Bettina Love. So I'm going to pass this one around just in case you want to see some of the things we had to literally study. We also, Shirley Howard, Culturally and Linguistically Responsive Teaching and Learning. Not only do we study, but we purchase whole kits for every school in LAUSD to have this as well. So we know, we start with instruction. That's where we think we get the most bang for our buck in terms of Black students doing better. First, we get you their attendance. We make sure your family feels welcome. And then who and how are they teaching you? Who's standing in front of you? We're increasing the amount of Black male teachers. We 100% believe students need to see themselves in their teachers. We made sure every school library in LAUSD has over 300 books that are culturally and linguistically responsive, so that Black students can walk into school libraries and immediately see books that reflect it. We thought that was very important. We also do, as I mentioned, professional developments for teachers. So we're being trained in how to invite teachers on a Saturday and pay them to learn how to teach Black students. We believe there's a difference, and it's research-based in terms of how you do a culturally responsive teaching model in your classroom. And also for the instructional leaders. It takes courage and conviction for a principal to look at a teacher and say, you're really not making the cut. I'm looking at the numbers here, and we believe in doing walk of fames or walk of shames. So we literally at the principal's meeting will say, these 10 schools have increased Black student attendance. Come on up, principals. These schools have increased reading and math for Black students at their schools. Come up, principals. And if you're not coming up, if you're not walking up there, what are you doing? So what I love about my job is I've been assigned 8 schools. I'll mention them. Palms Middle School is one. Revere Middle School. I got West Side. Webster Middle School. Westside Global, K-8 in Marina Del Rey on Anchorage. Beautiful, beautiful school and location. I have Hillcrest Drive Elementary, something that gets called Jones. I think now it's Baldwin Village. I love Hillcrest Drive, one of my favorites. I'll tell you some things which are there. But I also have 3 Westchester schools, Cowan Elementary, Open Charter Elementary, Loyal Village. So I have 8 schools. And what I have at each of those schools is something called BSAT teams. So Black Student Achievement Plan teams. On my teams, a restorative justice teacher, a school and climate advocate, let's see, a community rep, an attendance counselor, and another counselor. These are staff members we pay for in all 8 of those schools, out of our BSAT budget, we call it. So we looked at the numbers to see what type of extra staff can we provide to schools to support Black students in what areas. And those are the teams at those schools. And so I go to 2 schools a day. I support the schools in having their BSAT team meetings. Most importantly, every 5 weeks, we run the data, attendance, social emotional learning, math science scores, special education initial referrals. We run the numbers and the principals come to our meetings and we go over their Black student data. What do I love about that? It's similar to English language learners as far as the accountability in terms of, are these students learning English and who's watching them and who's making sure and where's the money behind it? That's exactly those are the conversations we're having about Black students specifically. There were two words I said, courage and conviction, because it's very anti-Black out there still. And you step on these campuses, for example, I get to run a grade list, a DF list. I get to look at those Black students on the DF list and see, well, let me back up, because I think the city of Santa Monica and right to return, similarities here, as I tell you this. At first, our administrative team, 15 of us, district level, we had to ask school principals permission to look at their school data in the platform. Send them a little, I'd like to look at, and they would say no, right? And so, or they would deny us the access, deny me, about 5 or 4 principals of my 8. District office gave us access district-wide. They said, wait, you shouldn't have to ask permission. You need, what data do you need? Okay, here's access to all that for the whole district. So now every 5 weeks we come in and we take at our team meeting and we take a look at that school's data. And I was able to look at a DF list of Black students, look at who's gaped, who's gifted. You have 5 A's and 1 F. You have 5 A's and 1 F. I was able to find a pattern in terms of which class Black students were getting an F in at that school. Whoa, it's one science class, one teacher. Going to the principal. Let's talk about this. My principal's ready. I've had subs, rotating subs in and out of that class. It's true. Students got F's. I went in and manually changed those grades myself because my conversation was when the families find out about this, because it's my job to tell them. It's my job to call families and say, hi, your kid's not, I see an F and you got a K student. How can we help them? Oh, you're concerned about all these subs in their magnet class? We do. Okay, let's go in and talk to the principal. So that's an example of some of the work I need to do. We give a survey of 6 or 7 questions out there to the Black students about 3 times a year, asking them how they feel about school. I see one little girl at one school, let's say, who says she doesn't feel she's connected to anyone at this school. No one. I can't talk to them. I go into the principal. I said, you have this one student, you know, Ice Cream Jones, who says they're not connected to anyone. But because that matters. You have 305 Black students at your school. 1 say they can't talk to nobody. And so my work is intentional. Right, and so we also looked at school. I looked over 200 schools and looked at their referrals for Black students for special ed. We also look at their referrals for GAIN. One thing I'm excited about, this program is only in its 3rd year and has increased the amount of Black students being identified as gifted by 2,000. 2,000 more Black students go out of the right? Like they've always been there. Everybody's born with a gift. One of our community partners just reminded us, it's our job as educators to bring it out of them. So, and 9 times out of 10, the student who we are labeling emotionally disturbed are actually intellectually gifted. And so we get to disrupt what has been the narrative for way too long. And we got to actually define what Black success looks like, Black student success, and then teach everyone else that. And in teaching everyone else, the entire LAUSD school district is reading 2 books by Dr. Goldie Muhammad. The first one is Cultivating Genius. What I love, anybody a historian here or social science, or you just love history? Okay. Hello. So what I love about this book, it's not just for educators, right? I've given it to parents who homeschool. Hey, Helen, wherever you are, sis. You know, because when you see my posting, and this is one of the books that I get to lead professional developments and come with a box full and give them out for free, you know. What I love about this is that this book highlights the history of Black people as readers as literary, having literary societies. Like changing that whole negative narrative where, you're former slaves and you weren't allowed to read, that's why you can't read now. No, actually, the ability to read was seen as an act of social justice and an act of social activism. And Black people have a history of having their own literary societies, is what she takes us back to. And about literacy, being liberation. So here's one that the whole district is reading now as a result of the work of the Black Student Achievement, and her second book, which she focuses on the joy of teaching and learning, unearthing joy. And we really are eating this one up, because this is the time where we want to build the morale of our educators. We are trying to recruit people into a profession that doesn't pay them much, in a state that's the cost of living may be higher than a teacher's salary. So unearthing joy, the joy of teaching and learning. How can we make sure schools are places where everyone wants to come, not just students, but especially the adults who are doing a work of heart, right? A work of heart every day. So here, I'm gonna pass this one around. I love reading, so just in case you're looking for something to be able to, show somebody the next level of education, right? Because that's where we are. We are in crossroads. These students can teach themselves, really, especially Black students with high interest. Do they really need us in front of them these days, physically? So all that we can so we have 5 tenets, and I'll end with this and ask if there's any questions or answers. Any questions, and I'll try to answer. Our 5 tenets. The first one is the community, school, district as one. That's why when I tell you I can call families and say, did you know your child was failing in this class and they're gifted? Did you know before you test them for special ed, we would like to have them test them for GATE? Because we're one. And by that, I also mean Black Student Achievement Plan. We have community partners now, over 120 vendors, Black vendors, who come into LA schools with programming, filling in that gap that school can't. Mentoring, tutoring, pretty brown girls, STEAM, Black boys coding, you name it. Urban cowboys. We got kids learning how to be cowboys. Going to Compton and Compton coming to LA. Over 120 of these vendors, one community partner made over 3.2 million, right, in LAUSD last year. We're bringing economic empowerment to even Black businesses. Some of you may know Jerome Carter, Pastor Jerome Carter, but he's someone who came recently to speak to us and show us his book, his new revision to his book, Inspiration 52. But we use these community partners. We give schools money to pay for them to come in. I have schools that I support with $80,000 a year and some with over $300,000 to pay for community partnerships. Right? And we look at the survey that Black students do to find out where are the deficits. Where do you need that help? Where do you need the mentorships? How can we keep you in class, middle schooler? Those of you who we see are gifted, how can we support you in these AP classes? So that's our first tenet. At my notes here and tell you the last 4 and what we do about it. And hopefully I probably already have touched on. All right, those online for 1 second. I love the hybrid happening. Awesome. All right, so the community, the district, families, all as one. And then we have culturally and linguistically responsive pedagogy and curriculum. So again, we provide training for teachers, we provide training for principals, and then we give you the materials. We pay for that as well. So this earmarked money, one of those use it or lose it situations. Last year, I think we left $100 million on the table in some of the schools. They just didn't spend it. This year, we have deadlines. Every year, our program gets better. And we have deadlines, so when you need to spend a certain money, principal, there's no one sitting on it. Because that looks like Black students don't need the help. our school board members and district and city council, and money just sits there, it's repurposed that next year, right? It's repurposed. It doesn't really roll over. Also, we have a multi-tiered individual support system. So our counselors at our high schools and our middle schools, even elementary, every 5 weeks are going over data with us and pinpoint which students need what. And we are intentional about providing that support that they need. So multi-tiered individual student support. Every Black student gets something called a BSSP, that's a Black Student Success Plan. Y'all have heard of IEPs, right? Individual Education Plan, that's for students with an identified disability. What if you just like focus on me, Black Student Success Plan, and we literally sit with every Black student and find out what you want to be, how we going to get you there. All right, here we go. And we also are taking, well, I'll get to that one. So the fourth tenet is rigorous standards aligned education. Because people are like, I love my Black students. You know, I love them so much, you know, but water down the curriculum. If you love them so much, keep high standards, high expectations. That's love. Rigor. No, you're going to get this geometry. You're going to be able to do this trigonometry. Come over here. We got a Pythagorean theorem rule. We all are going to figure this out. Please don't water it down, we tell them in our professional developments. That's not what it's about. We didn't water down the gate standards, type in the 2,000 more. So by all means, we need rigorous standards aligned instruction for our students. And finally, one of my favorites is the Black Excellence Experience. This is us putting on family days. We just had one at Crenshaw High. Omar Epps came and he signed his book. Some of you know Omar Epps, old time actor, good actor. And he came out, his wife and his daughter was with him and signed books. We provided, paid for his books for the community and he did book signing. But we had a dentist there. We had an eye doctor there. It was a community fair. Over 3,000 people came to Crenshaw High School about 2 Saturdays ago, 3, maybe right before the break. And it was just a joy. I was working it. And I was at the game truck usually until I went and had to hug on my abs. But, right, but stay focused, Shirley. He was so gracious and was so grateful to be there. And our superintendent doesn't come out for many things, just wow, but he came out for that. And the bottom line is we were able to bless 3,000 families in LA on a Saturday, and they were so happy. Groceries, and, toilet paper, paper towels, things you need. You hear what I'm saying? Free toys for the students. It was a beautiful event, and we do that 4 times a year. Also, the Black educational experience, increasing the Black excellence experience. We every month take two groups of kids to the South, to HBCU. Every month, we have 2 tours that leave LA and take kids down there. Every senior in high school or junior maybe now, but we just, making sure that they see other opportunities outside of California. And that's something we pay for. We're intentional about it. So I'm really proud of what I see LAUSD doing. This is liberating work. I studied abroad, as it said, in Ghana, West Africa in 1996. I have been wondering ever since then, how do I just focus as an African scholar on, creating theoretical, systematic formulations that will reveal the truths and the truths that will liberate my people. How do I get paid to do that every day, all day? And this has been my chance. And I am, if you all hear me, full steam ahead. Yeah. First semester, we had some wonderful events at my schools that I am over. We had Black Fathers Matter. We had a Black Family Summit. We just all kinds of wonderful, wonderful events that people were so happy and still talking about. The second semester, we're full steam ahead academically. Right? We're full steam ahead honoring those students who come to school every day. Looking for those students who don't come at all. We had a photographer for the NFL come to Palms Middle School. And he wanted to show the students how he thought he was going to be an NFL player, football player. Knew that wasn't going to work about high school. So he went into taking pictures. And so he showed the students how you can get to your goal just a different way if you need to. And so not only did we said, who we gonna invite? Because only 30 or 40 can come to this breakfast with these having Mr. Jeff Lewis. That's what they call LA Rams championship ring. He brought every kid to get a foot on. It was like a $10 million ring. I had to watch the man let middle schoolers. I have pictures of it on my hand, but what I like about that is how strategic we were with the students who were being invited. We said the issue members for sure, because you've been on it. Students with straight A's, because the middle school, straight A's, come on, you're working hard. And students who don't come to school. There you go. Because the students who deserve the meeting and the students who need the meeting. Let's all meet. And those parents, when I personally called those families and invited them, we're so grateful. Our highest Dr. Compton, the office, I mentioned Tyler School. I want to encourage them to come by, invite them to this special breakfast. They're my special guests. And you make sure they're at school that day. And those students been coming ever since. So they don't miss, right? They don't want to miss something special. That's intentional activist work, and that's what I want to come share with y'all. That's it. Any questions? But I'm not going to show it to you. We all go to the website of lausd.org/BSA and go all through it. That's our Black Student Achievement website. And you'll see more than one video that's going to show you. You'll see it all. Yeah. All right. Okay, y'all. Is that wonderful? Can y'all give her a little down? Yeah. But anyway, y'all know, for you guys who are new to CRJ, Angela and I do a wonderful thing with Q&A. And Janet, are we going online?
Yeah, we're doing online too.
Check them online.
Yep.
Okay, so let me forget about y'all online. Hey, y'all. Hey, Dr. Dunn, I want to see your pretty face. Okay, you might. Okay.
Hey, Robbie.
This is how we, okay, she's talking back, stop talking back. So this is how we do this. We count down 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. And that's how we do this. We're gonna try, you got a certain voice, loud voice, you don't need to use the mic, but if you do, we should come up so that everyone can hear you. So let's count it up, Angela.
Yes, Fred 1, Adriana 2. I have 1. Always gonna have
3, 6,
Okay.
So, you know, from there, correct?
Very cold in here.
Yeah. You can stand. I would say, come on. Just because we want to make sure we get you captured. Oh, yeah, we need to receive.
Oh, I have mercy.
We need receipt. Come on. We need receipt. Look, I think the slow. Overall,
Okay. I want to first preference my question with an observation, that I've seen. Specifically when we talk about Black achievement in a low level.
Yes, sir.
I liken it to something, if you're familiar with Dr. Juwanza Kunjufu did in terms of counting the conspiracy to destroy Black voice. Whenever I see, a lack of achievement amongst Black, I go back immediately to that. So now, having said that, understanding that your program is successful and looking at what brought CRJ into focus in the first place, how successful or how receptive have administrators within the Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District been towards this type of programming, this type of teaching?
Well, I think she can only speak for LAUSD.
Or you haven't
No,
this to Santa Monica?
this is LAUSD.
Oh. Is there any attempts, are there any plans for that? Because, let me put it this way, when we look at the back and forth between Santa Monica, Malibu Unified and the community, they didn't want to hear it unless there was a doctor's name in front of them. They brought in a specialist who essentially said what we've been saying all along. And, you know, to this day, I don't see, and maybe they would disagree. I don't see much progress within that. So I'm wondering specifically in that climate, what would you suggest?
Thank you, Brother Craig. Thank you, brother. Brother Craig asked the right question. So, one thing is for sure, I don't know that a whole department even is necessary for people to be able to focus on Black student data, create a plan to help Black students, and then keep a scorecard. Because that's what I forgot to probably say, if every 5 weeks, principals get a scorecard. And superintendents also have in LAUSD. Our department is under the Educational Transformation Office of LAUSD. And so, let's say like an instructional, you know, some type of instructional leadership department at LAUSD. But again, the number and the data is there. It's just a matter of who will focus on keeping a scorecard, well, create a plan, and then create a scorecard of how well the district is doing, Santa Monica, as far as Black student achievement. And, you know, just honestly, without knowing the exact data, I have seen improvements in Santa Monica in terms of Black students going to HBCUs, getting accepted on the spot at the Black College Expo. For the last 4 years, I've been able to witness that myself and see a shift there, and more support. And I can't even pinpoint what Samuel High has done specifically, but I've seen a positive change in that light. But that being said, you know, are our students happy coming to school? Are they still fighting? Do they feel connected, mentored? Are we letting anybody slip through the cracks? Because that's the thing about intentional work, intentionality. You are trying not to let nobody slip through the cracks. When we call about attendance, we ask about housing. We ask about laundry money, transportation. It's not just get your kid to school. What do you need? Because we're going to find the resources. And LAUSD is coming up with a way to provide some housing, low-income housing. Creating a way to have the HBCUs have a satellite office in have their own floor at our building, Beaudry. Housing for teachers, because if we're recruiting teachers from East Coast or anywhere else, how can they live anywhere, FA County? So looking at things like that in Santa Monica, you know, looking at how many Black male teachers maybe Santa Monica the district has, doing a comparison about special ed. I would love for Santa Monica Malibu to disrupt some of the Black students being identified for special ed and increase the amount of gifted opportunities out there. We're educating everyone on a specific eligibility called emotionally disturbed, because if you're 5, you're in kindergarten, we label you emotionally disturbed. Let's say when you're 6, we exit you from special ed and you're gifted, but because you once had that label in your life, you can't apply to be a police officer, go to the military, be a post office worker, or fire person. They won't give you anything that might have firearm going on with it or explosive.
As a follow-up,
Yes, sir.
one of the factors that we look at is the pipeline.
Sir. Sir. How long did you really see our day?
We'll talk later.
You know I don't play. Okay. I hope I tried.
You did, okay, but I do have a clue that I think we're going to give you. So you mentioned initially you're getting pushback,
Yes.
right? I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. I guess from the teachers, because I know there's a thing, as I'm studying for my doctorate in education too, there's this thing called cultural complacency, right? Cultural competency and cultural humility.
And I think what you're talking about is humility, because that's that ongoing self-assessment. So I'm wondering again, how are the teachers reacting?
So the pushback I mostly dealt with, and again, was administrators. They don't want you to know the negative stuff going on in their school at all, especially if it pertains to any, student that looks like you. So the pushback I received was, running their data, principals coming on their campuses, organizing those teams I told you about. But once we got past that, and it was seen more as a support, a partnership, we're gonna make sure you're on the walk of fame. That when they call your school, you are your scores, your black student, well, that's what I'm here for. Teachers were hungry.
Just recognizing the fact that there's a psychological evaluation first and foremost before anything else, just due to PTSD and different things like that. It's not only a distraction, it's almost an emotional setback to education, and it affects grades. So just recognizing the fact that there are different ways of learning is helpful. Of course, the hands-on,
This one's
audio,
on, but
just talking to the students, directly and reading, and then that
I'll
way,
go put that one back.
it definitely makes it easier, when you have emotional setbacks like being discriminated against on a regular basis. It could be anywhere from school to McDonald's, and it affects you. And how did you focus on assignments and just different things like that when you have this emotional distress? Yeah. So with that being said, that empathy training is definitely something that the teachers need. Not only the teachers, principals, and just all kinds of different people that service the students. So I think it's great. That initial.
Oh, just real quick. So I think this is excellent, and I wanted to ask how we can support you. This is a very simple question. Well, and the answer isn't simple, but I just wanted to see what we could do, because that's amazing. All we hear about is the negative stuff. So to raise up students in this way, it's how do we? I know we're kind of focused in Santa Monica, but maybe we should start there and expand out into Venice and the other areas.
That's what this is all about, working together, right? We got started. I think one thing is for them to go to the website, right? You want to go to our website and educate yourself on what LAUSD is doing, the plan, and then think about ways to replicate that in this city, right? For the community here. I'm always thinking of ways to bring everything that I'm learning and all the connections I'm making back to Santa Monica. Just last week, 2 community partners came to speak to us, and I raised my hand twice. There were quite a few, but 2 of them. I said, "Can I get your card? Take you back to Santa Monica." Right. And my BSEP, my colleagues were like, "Hey, don't be stealing stuff for Santa Monica." I'm like, "We can share." Yeah, we can. How can I not? My heart is here. My son just graduated from here, and by the grace of God, learned language, right? So bilingual in Spanish. Full ride to Loyola Marymount University, civil engineer, and just got straight B+ for first semester. And this young black male was running from science and math and was trying to change the major. He just told everybody that he plans to stay an engineering major because he wants that degree. So I'm just so blessed. Help the kids out here, if you hear what I'm saying.
Oh, is it me? Yeah.
Come on down, run on down.
We can't even meet you halfway.
No, we can't. You want to take some more?
No, I got some. But let me look.
Dr. Compton. But I just wanted to say that I love the thing you said tonight. And I'm always about the families. And one of the things I wanted to say that I heard you say in the end, with what they're bringing into the schools to help the families. I thought about my sister where she's in a different state, but what they've done is they brought in washers and dryers for the kids whose parents can't maybe afford or live too far, don't have transportation to get to a laundromat. They've also, because it's a cold state, they've also donated coats for kids that don't have coats in the winter. Coats can be very, very expensive, especially when you have a family of 4 or 5. She was really, she was saying that after their lunches are done, they pack up the lunches for the kids to also take home for the kids who have or are food insecure. And I think that's cool too. But they also have like a lot of family things where they invite the whole family to come. Everything's free. They don't have to pay for nothing. And I think that's wonderful when parents don't have to pay for nothing. Then you can include the whole family. Because I mean, I was born in a family of 9. And imagine my mom buying 9 winter coats, or we all want to go to the movie theater, stuff like that. So I wish I was living in this era, because we really missed out on a lot of stuff. I mean, we were sharing coats, sharing boots, everything. But yeah, I just appreciate all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
You know, our schools, the decent teams have these school, they have teams, we have teams, I told you about teams. One of them, one teammate at like all my schools have created a grooming station. And it has jail for the black girls to lay their hair down. Because culturally speaking, you may not know what it means for a black girl to have a hoodie on all day and choose trouble. Choose trouble all day. Choose to get in trouble all day because of what her hair looked like. And even 2nd graders, they see somebody walking in, who did your hair? Like it's a bullying thing. And to be able to help calm that down. So the girls show up with these hoodies on to that classroom where that grooming station is in the morning. My mama didn't do my hair this morning. She took my braids out last night, told me to come to school anyway, and sure enough, a brush, some gel, miracles happen. And so it's a cultural understanding. It's culturally relevant. Without certain type of team members, you may not even realize your school needs that. Unless somebody's walking around and hearing. People talk about the kids, talk about your hair, bully you. It made a huge difference. And there I was going, really? Ooh. Because one thing is for sure, Santa Monica, and that is different than LA, right? You can get away with that maybe out here. Nobody say nothing about your edges. But on another side of the break, okay, as long as y'all hear like how big deal that is. The smallest thing, a little bit of hair product can stop a young girl from getting in trouble all day, getting bullied, getting into a fight. It can stop all that in an elementary, middle, or high school.
Yes, Dr. Shirley, I can attest to that from being a hairstylist for 18 years and having a daughter that was crazy about her hair. You know about that. Yeah, it does make a difference. It really does. And you are teased. We didn't have that problem. We had others. Because once she got it done, and then we had the red lipstick thing. Yeah, she's getting ready to open her own lipstick line now, which is a beautiful thing. But okay.
Go ahead, there's the one with red lipstick on, okay. I wanted to talk about the college. Can you kind of give us a little bit of information, about what that plan is like?
Oh, sure. So we have like I said, assistant deputy superintendents are involved in this plan, are part of our process. And they tour schools all the time, right? Daily are they walking in schools in LAUSD. And they will have a conversation, let's say, with a black student who's a junior or senior, and they'll find out the student's gifted in honors classes, AP courses, has no intention of filling out a FAFSA. No one has talked to them about financial aid. No one's talked to them about college. And will literally call whoever school that is for us to go in that school and see if the counselors are trained.
Come on.
So it starts with competence, right? And building capacity with our employees, investing in them.
Yeah.
So when you're missing some of the students, show me what your process is. How many times a week do you check in on students? How do you do that? What is your schedule? What's your practice? When do you pull this small group of students in? How do you aggregate and make sure weekly that these students are doing what they need to do or getting the information they need to be successful?
Yes, repeat.
So it's that whole thing, making sure that our colleges start even, I think, our middle schoolers, we're on it in terms of exposure, bringing colleges on their campuses, making sure that they know when the Black College Expo is, or any college expo, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was someone who didn't look at HBCUs at all. My stepdaughter went straight to Spelman from Santa Monica High. He had no desire. So just making sure that we're hitting and pinpointing and being intentional about what we offer to students, especially, like I said, starting in middle school. And then I'm now at the point where I'm going all the way back to the early ed centers, preschools, to begin to talk about college planning and financial wellness from then. One of the workshops I'm bringing to families is about financial wellness, estate planning, and just knowing that there's so many resources out there for you. I was willing to, a kidney, whatever I got to give for my son to go to hello, classic, something in the 90s, but just making sure my son had that opportunity. The more we worked on some things, that's how the full scholarships and other scholarships and grants, but it had to do with us sharing resources with each other, making sure we all know what's available and not gatekeeping, right? But making sure that we all get the information. So we support our students. And then let me say this, it's not about college or university for everybody.
Right.
We have students, we had a family math night at one of my schools, and the lady leading it pointed to a little second or third grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? YouTuber. And a few years ago, we would have all giggled and sit down. This is what the presenter said to that little girl. And how do you make money off that, little third grader? Ad sales. I need to have 1 million views in order to have $1,000, $1 million. Broke it down mathematically as third grader.
That makes sense.
And made more sense and money than I may ever see. Right? The little girl was. And so as her parent was embarrassed that she said YouTuber, after a while the parent was on, that's my kid. But you see where I'm going? So are we gonna press college to that little girl, or are we gonna make sure she hooks up with another YouTuber out there and figure out the ad sales? What are we gonna do? Just keep, and of course I'm gonna push her to whatever college, but other than that, she said YouTuber. So that, how do we help her? Another little girl, pianist. And we said, are you in piano lessons? No. Guess what we're on now? Figuring out how to get her some piano lessons. Listen to the kids, right? Figure out, he was saying, how can we listen? Adults gotta be quiet and listen to the young people. I learned that from Robbie. Listen to the young people and then help them actualize what it is has been placed in them as a gift already. They're already gifted. They're already blessed on the inside. How do we pull it out and shoot it to space with them, whatever that gift is? And you're looking at somebody ward of the court, right? Raised by my grandmother here in Santa Monica. My parents were alive, which says a lot. They just weren't able to take care of me. And thank goodness for the opportunities, positive ones, that people steered me towards. City of Santa Monica, whoever, and I took advantage. Then I had people to look up to. One of them was Oscar. Right when my mother passed, he was president of Samuel High. And I was like, that fool? No, I'm kidding. But I was like, if he could do it, I could do it. And then that's what I aspired to. I was in 9th grade at the time. Mother just passed and I blinked, and this guy who lived across the street from me, who I think is a little, is president. Meaning street, he was connected and president. And I said, I want to do that. And so instead of like being a victim of my mother's passing, January of my 9th grade year Samuel, I began to work towards trying to be like this guy. And that's exactly what happened my senior year. And with a lot of help, even janitors plant managers at Samuel helped me. Security officer, Stanley Wilson, they all encouraged me. It's okay that your mother died. Come on, you smart. You smart. How can we do that for all kids? How can we do that for all, how can we make sure all kids have an Oscar or somebody look up to, or Shirley? And then have a security officer and people who don't even make a lot of money, if you ask me, pushing that person. We all for you.
Yeah.
And then making sure Charles Mason from Loyola Marymount University came and recruited me my senior year. College counselor at Samuel High, I told her, I need a space. LMU come and interview me. I'm the first Black girl president. And she told me, you can't afford LMU. You need to go to SMC. White lady at Samuel High told me, no, I'm not gonna set that up for you. So I had to meet Mr. Mason somewhere else. Maybe it was a park, I don't even remember, but I had to meet with him somewhere else. I didn't even have time to tell her he's offering me a full scholarship, lady. And how do you know what I go for?
Right.
My grandmother owned 3 properties on the same block. I'm not telling a story. She owned her house and 2 across the street, then eventually got sold, but how you know we ain't got no money?
Right.
Just looking at me? I look like I don't have no money, right? Like, I've been administrator 15 years, but I remember not even being able to go back and forth with this lady back then. Ron Wilkins was my mentor.
That's right.
And taught me a lot about Black liberation, let me work under you. So good to see you, brother. Joyce is online, also my sister in the struggle. But just people who made sure I felt like I could do it. And it wasn't about money. It was about intellect, and it was about grit. Gratitude, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. And that's what I had. Grit. And that's what we're instilling in every Black kid at LAUSD. Gratitude, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. Thank you.
This is like your art girls rock. Highest level. Yes. Right. Everyone return their books. Were there any questions online? I wanted to be mindful in case there were. And then I did want to acknowledge member of school board, member of student council. Did y'all have any thoughts you want to express?
I think it's great. I mean, I'm really proud of Shirley and all the work she's doing, and I'm glad that LAUSD is doing something very targeted towards, Black student achievement, and I hope that we can learn from their example.
Thank you. Thank you. Council member Oscar De La Torre.
No, Dr. No, I've known you for a long time. Nothing, we've kind of had a lot of conversations in terms of how you move it. Everybody thinks Santa Monica, there's a lot of, the subtlety of the racism that exists in the city. Point out, straight out. So part of the thing is, from the school board end of it, is recognizing from the board that exists and how we move forward.
Right.
But I will tell you that as a response when you were telling me about the counselors, well, I don't know if you know that way back in the day, when Dr. John Daisy was here.
Yeah.
Well, in his second year, he kind of got a glimpse of the counseling. And I'll say straight out, he went one night, checked out their office and said, I don't like this view here. So what does he come back? He came and he decided to, the job description. He revised the job description and asked all the counselors to reapply as advisors. And at about the group, I don't know how many were there at the time, but many of them did not return. And we had the opportunity of bringing in a first group of a lot of people of color, let's put it this way, counselors that came in new, and a lot of changes were made. So that in and of itself was one of the earlier parts when I first got elected on this board that we did. And it's those kind of things that you try to make those changes and people think, oh no, it's unbelievable. People get too comfortable around here and they think nothing that the subtlety doesn't exist, but it does. And until people realize that that it does exist and how do we move it forward? And we acknowledge, I acknowledge, I have, we're not all gonna say that we're not. We don't have biases and, racist, but we have to just acknowledge and move it forward. How do you make it better for everybody? And that's been one of the hardest things that we've had to do with the school board. And so we move it forward. We've got 7 members. We just elected our second Latina on the school board, which is fantastic. And so we have some, hi Alicia, I know you're on there. So anyway, so we're here to be in support, but thank you. I know that we've had those conversations and we're gonna continue to have those conversations.
You got it. Thank you. Thank
I have an obvious question. How can we work together today?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she works, we have a relationship with Dr. Compton, and she's still an emeritus member of our Black parent, African American Parent Student Staff Support Group out of Santa Monica High School. And then, so we are definitely partnering with Dr. Compton on figuring out how we can strategize. And then, like, we have our Black College Expo, right? So we have our Santa Monica High students. We're now looking at incorporating PBL for that field trip, as well as Malibu High, and then even the middle schoolers. So we're looking at what her plan is and where our plan is and how we can meet in the middle to really build up our Black student achievement. So this is something that we've been really talking about over the past year. And then even like when we had a meeting, we had our listening session last November. We started to develop plans, calling it the Black Joy Initiative. Specifically on how we can disrupt anti-Blackness within Santa Monica, period. Thank you.
If someone who's having issues with the virtual world, can we announce our email?
Oh, there was a question.
Oh, yeah.
There is a question too.
Yeah, we'll put it on the chat. So there was 2 things, something to, what our school board member, Maria Leon Vasquez, said in regard to John Deasy. I think it's really important for community, someone here said, well, why am I here? Because I don't have any kids in the school. And my kids graduated a long time ago, so did mine. But you're here because you want to better the community. There is still obviously more to give. And there are things you can do, even sometimes if it's just letter writing or just keeping up with what's going on. Because as I recall as well, John Deasy did do some good when he did that, but he also cut out some very important people for Santa Monica High School and around the district that were African American, that were very vital to the success of our students. I remember 2 of them particularly. They did not have counseling degrees, but they were the heartbeat of the school. And I remember them being there and how wonderful it was for them to be there, that they were doing kind of what Dr. Shirley was talking about, checking in with the kids. The kids would stop in there and the parents. Maybe the daughter and the mama was mad at each other and the daughter would go on where her friends were, but the mother would stop and talk to those counselors and say, I just had a big argument with her about her bangs or whatever, something she did last night, and talk it over with the counselor, but also say, I love my child. Can you just check in with her today? Just to see where she's at and make sure she's on course. Those are the kind of people we cannot lose. I get what, reclassifying the counselors and making them, be whatever it is that you want to change their job description. But those vital people that you talked about that were in your life, that, just from a classified, and I know myself as a parent coming on campus every single day, because I could do that when other parents could not. And when there were things that happened at Santa Monica High School and the campus was shut down, celebrities, Black celebrities were calling me on my phone. How is my child? Is my child okay? They have locked down the campus. Is everything okay? I mean, those kind of things are just very, very important. And
that's why I stay. That's why I stay.
And I appreciate you all day. I'm always calling Robbie, hey Robbie, I need you to roll up here. So Layla, I'm gonna go to you. I don't know if you can unmute. I have Layla and then Alicia, but Layla first, if you can unmute, you had a question.
Hello, Dr. Compton.
Hey, Layla.
Sending you lots of love. My question is, and actually somebody in our group already answered part of it, which it was survey, maybe the format. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, you're fine, you're fine.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to know if you could share a little bit about if survey was the format or the method of collecting, of assessing the students' social, emotional well-being. Some of the questions that were asked on the survey, what was looked at, what especially, drew your attention in the survey responses. I'm very curious to know what you all found in assessing their social emotional well-being. Thank you.
Hi, Layla. Good to see you and wishing you well. Happy New Year. Our survey is called the Black Student Success Plan Survey. We give it out in the beginning of the year, September. Another one middle of the year, about February, and another one in like May. And there are about 6-7 questions for students. It's online based. It's like a Google form or something, but for us to be able to keep the data, and we survey every Black student in the schools. And so I know there are 6 main questions we ask them, and one is about whether they see themselves in curriculum. Another one is about how they feel coming to school. Do they feel welcome? Another question we ask is about do they feel they have an advocate on campus? And again, off the top of my head, since my phone is not connecting to the internet, and I do have a copy of the survey on my phone, but that's something I can share with you, Layla. But we asked them about 6 specific questions, all having to do with curriculum, Black events. Are there any events on campus that reflect your culture? We also asked them about their parent participation. Are your parents asked to be engaged on campus? So each question, we even, third and up. So even for third graders, we have pictures to show the context of the question, just in case. And we're able to walk them through it if we need to. But we get that data and we share it with the school community, we share it with the families. And we use that data to pick our community partners. That's why we need to do it so early in the year. And so that we can find out whether the girls feel they have self-awareness. Do the girls feel, do the boys feel comfortable and welcome? We might even ask a question about discipline in terms of do you feel, fairly treated as far as the discipline on campus or something. But we ask them 7 specific questions for us to be able to support them in those areas. So the areas are like social awareness, social emotional learning, parent engagement or family engagement. So there are different areas, and we ask one question in each of those areas. And again, it's something, Layla, if you email me, I can share with you. Work email, anyone, shirley.compton@lausd.net.
Thank you.
I'll put your info in the chat. Alicia Mignano from School Board, you had a question, and then Mulugete, I saw your question, I will ask it next. Alicia?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Compton. It's really nice to hear you this evening on Zoom. And I just wanted to say a couple things that I'm excited about SMMUSD and the work that we're doing. We have our Kim Marshall, who is our social emotional teacher on special assignment and is doing a lot of work with belonging with our students. Also, we have LACO Community Schools. I'm really curious about the survey questions because I know that LACO tried to survey the students, and so I will be emailing you to get more information. We had we didn't get as many responses as we would have liked from the students. And then other questions I was like, do you also survey the parents? We're also doing focus groups with our Dr. Stacy Williamson, who's doing focus groups. So whatever work that we can, the more collaboration and whatever we can learn from you, to just make things better for our students and our community, for our parents. Did you also survey the parents? I know that, most of the time students are with parents. And so I have a lot of questions regarding the survey that you spoke about, but I will email you, I will follow up with an email. And yes, thank you so much for sharing those books as well. And I just wanted to say hello.
Thank you. And great questions. Yes, we survey the parents, but not through our Black Student Achievement Plan. Rufina's in there. The whole team is here. Go ahead, PCT. But we definitely survey the parents as a district. So you know how Santa Monica Malibu has like a school experience survey? We use the data from that. We just disaggregate by Black families. So we don't want to over survey people, right? We don't want to, because then they begin to ignore them, right? And they don't fill them out. It just seems like survey after survey. We want to make sure also that they see us working with the data. So now that we surveyed you, now what? And so we make sure that we show them how we used the survey information. So we don't survey the parents through BSAP, just the students. But we couple that with what LAUSD already surveyed the parents with. So we use last year's school experience survey, disaggregated by Black families, and this year's school experience survey, student experience survey. We put that together, and then we're able to reflect that back. And so I love what you said also about LACO. I work for them at nighttime. I get to mentor new teachers and teach them, so I love it. And in BSAP, we work with community of schools. We work with LACO community schools teams at our schools. If they have one, then they're also part of our BSAP team. And so we work together collectively. What's important with focus groups and anything that anybody's doing, I would say keep doing it with an intentionality of focus on Black students and their achievement and success is all. So if there is a way to do specific focus grouping, if there is a way to be intentional, I would encourage that. But I'm here to support. Like I said, all the knowledge I'm learning is for a reason. All of my experiences in SNL USD were for this reason. Like, you had to be a principal to get my job. And you had to go through some of the things that I had went through to be considered an expert or a forever learner, lifelong learner, and leader. And so I'm grateful to have gotten all the foundation I got here, and then be able to bring back all this stuff that I'm learning, culturally specific, now to SMM. So please tap me, because I'm free this year.
No, you know what? We need to find some money, school district, because we need our Shirley back. We see when we bring her, all her people show up, but no, I like what you said, Shirley, about not surveying the people to death. Survey, and you're not doing anything with the data. You know what goes, well, okay, I don't need to preach. You already preached. Mulugete, do you have something, Mulugete?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Today is our Christmas. Unfortunately, I couldn't come and join the meeting, but I can just, bring one question. Especially, you're talking about special need students, African American students, and I have a 23 years old autistic special need child, and I was working with African American parents for a long time, and the biggest problem I see is a lot of parents are not engaging with their parents, with their kids, and we are trying to just create awareness and education and give training for the parents, because most of the time the kids, 90% of the time, the kids stay with their parents, and there is no services to increase the parents' equity. Giving trainings, culturally sensitive way. So is there any program in that area, or is it possible to ask that type of thing? And my second question is also resources. I really appreciate if African American students are guided to go to the resources we need, and encourage them to start business around that, because it's very hard to get resources around the inner cities. I want to give you an example. For example, I was trying to find a piano teacher in the area I'm living, and there was only one, and they were charging us something like $30 per 20 minutes. And I have a sister in Covina, and she was telling me that they charge the same type of school charge $18 per hour. So even if we couldn't even find one in the inner cities, and they are charging us a lot of money. So, I mean, is there anything the school district can do in order to address this discrepancy? Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Mulugeta. Good to see you, my brother. I think your first question was about families and school districts providing resources for families of students with special needs. And so I want you to know that we are definitely, especially my pet project, is to help, literally start this month of January, we have family workshops on how to help them become better advocates for their children, for their young people. So educating, making sure that they have resources, like you said, know what's out there in the community, everything from regional centers, which are a little backed up, to Department of Mental Health Services, partnering with departments of mental health. There's a sister here tonight who spoke, and just reminding us that there are resources there. And it is about connecting. And so, as you know, Mulugeta, special education is my passion. Like literally what I did for 10 years was sit in about 3 IEP meetings a day, every day, advocating for students and families. So bringing what I did as a district level administrator, sitting in IEPs, bringing that ability to families. So this is what you look for in the IEP. And then like you said about service providers or even about vendorships, who specifically can work with students who are on the spectrum of autism, who specifically can work with students who are deaf or blind, you name it. How do we find those specific providers out in the community to offer music lessons, photography, filming, because they have a special, in other words, they are trained in how to work with students who need special attention, special abilities from the professional. So we're working on that. And I do have a list of vendors that I could share with you, Mulugeta. You just get in touch with me. Again, we have over 100, but specifically we'd have to dig down to find out who has that special gift to work with students. But we definitely are working on building the capacity for advocacy in families, as well as providing more knowledge and resources that are out there. Because unfortunately, within a school day, 6 hours, students don't really get an elective who have an IEP, right? Because you have a special need, now you don't get to play an instrument in school. We are disrupting that as well. We find that discriminatory practices, and we have got to figure out a way for those students to have an elective in school and get some free tutoring in that elective after school. You see, so Mulugeta, I'd love to partner with you to see how we can work together. What I love about Mulugeta, he even travels with students with special needs. He'll take them all the way to Israel or wherever. And I respect that. And I think that's very powerful, Mulugeta.
Okay.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, we're going to leave the one and only Miss Joyce Watts for our last question. You know, you guys, we try to be out of here by 8:30, and just because you don't see the lady with the white hair that's always fussing at me about keeping on time. God bless you, Joanne. We love you wherever you are, but we got this. Okay, so Dr. Watts,
Are you there?
I'm right here. Thank you so much, Robbie. And you know better than to use the D word, Robbie. You know better than to use the D word.
Where'd she go?
It's just Joyce.
Just Joyce, okay. I'm sorry.
There she is.
And forgive me for no camera this evening, you all. Hey, Dr. Compton, I really want to thank you so much for such a thorough presentation this evening. And I'm going to be kind of quick with this. Most of you all know, or many of you all know, that I'm based in Los Angeles, LAUSD, and in a lot of, having worn a lot of different hats, student, parent, employee, administrative office, et cetera, et cetera. So high interest in everything happening with African-American students. And Dr. Compton, I just want to say that this Coalition for Racial Justice is wonderful. I'm glad you all have hooked up. Robbie and I and Joanne and I had an opportunity to speak a little bit before the meeting. And there are a few things I would love if we could follow up on and see how we partner as critical friends, if you understand what I'm saying, between the efforts in the Santa Monica area and the efforts in LA. I would like to raise just a couple of sticky questions. Well, yeah, let me just raise a couple of sticky questions. One in particular, time is running out. Speaking of special education, in the BSAP plan, there is a table that shows special ed referrals. And some of us have looked at it a few times. And so as I recall, this is, I think, the first BSAP plan. The percent of African-American students referred for special, pardon me, back it up. The percent of students district-wide in LA referred for special education was, I think, 3%. The percent of African-American students referred for special education was 30%, 10 times as many. And then I'm just going to say in a particular part of the district that is not South LA, I'm trying not to, I don't want to put anybody on blast. I don't think that's necessarily helpful. People get defensive. But in an area that has a lot of African-American students, it's not South LA and it's not the Valley, the percent was 60. So we've got 3 district-wide, all students, 3% referred for special ed, district-wide, 30% of Black children. And in that area, 60%, 20 times as many Black children, speaking of disproportionality.
Yes.
How did it get like that? It didn't pop up overnight. So seemingly, this has been a challenge for a while. And I'm wondering if there's been any progress. I really appreciate everything that you have presented and shared in terms of the work that you're doing. And I know this is an area that you're interested in and committed to. Can you help us know what's happening in terms of these gross disproportionality? This is kind of, somebody said that, the environment can be hostile. There's something going on where teachers are seeing our kids as in need of special ed assessment. Can you help me with that?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right about the numbers, everyone. I want to say that's one of the reasons I was brought on to BSAP last year, was my work in special education, just helping to create inclusion at schools, helping to close some special day classes at schools, and making sure those students were in general education. So I had a history of working in that capacity with special education in LAUSD for the last 9 years, since leaving SNL. That was my focus. So yes, you're right about the numbers. The answer to has there been any progress is no. And it's a multi-layered answer to why it's like that, right? So unfortunately, I don't know if I could say a misappropriation of funding, but it creates a lack of staffing. And some students do need something called a comm room. At some of our middle schools, we've created for instance, Palms Middle School has a Palms Comm. And some of our elementary schools have comm rooms or monarch rooms, but places you can just go for a second to calm down because socially, emotionally, you're in a space where you need a break. But instead of being able to give that break or provide that space, unfortunately, we've had teachers who go straight to recommending some type of assessment. And Dr. Joyce, one thing is for sure, we are scaling back and making sure teams are well trained and have a menu of interventions at a school that they can offer, academic and social emotional interventions for students. And we're just scaling back to say, well, hold on, the student you referred for special education that they have you refer them to be assessed, have they had these interventions? And oftentimes the school teams don't even know what interventions are available at their school. That's why I'm calling it a menu. We may need to create that to make sure you know what's available at your school before then. And then what we're able to provide through BSAP is extra funding. So a student doesn't need to be identified as special ed to have an adult to support them all day. Let me say that again. If a student is being unsafe and they need an adult all day, as a general ed student, you can provide that. It's not written as their one-on-one, it's not written as a shadow, but you've given that adult to them. If indeed they aren't doing well academically, what else is there? Have you tried some online tutor? And then that's the other part. We hear, but the parent asked us to assess them. And the parent wants this, and don't get me wrong, working in Watts, South LA, parents approached me with Social Security forms before the assessment. Here, come fill this out. My kid got a disability, I can get extra money from the government to help them. No, hold on, sweetie. See, so we're able to come in and educate as BSAP, the whole school, including the family. Many times, Dr. Joyce, assessment and special ed identification for school teams is the easiest, quickest way to get extra staff. Easiest way, quickest way to get that child out of your classroom or whatever. And don't get me wrong, at John Adams, I was teaching history, and there was a student who was blind, and their mother asked for them to be put in my class. Y'all know Santa Monica, parents can ask for the teachers or whatever. You gotta ask, I don't mean you're gonna get them. But I was offered, right, as the teacher, and I said to the counselor at the time, I don't teach blind students. What do you know? He said, actually, he taught me, right? He said, actually, you teach all students. And here is a braille maker from her mother, not from the district. Here's a braille maker from her mother. Have fun, Shirley. Now, honestly, I needed more training, but I went for it. And it made me a better teacher, So even I had to learn as a teacher professional that actually your credential is for all students. That special part is for a student who has hearing loss or sight loss or isn't mobile, but ability, mental ability, hold on, everybody. And so, Dr. Joyce, that's part of it. Just answering your question a little bit. What we're doing now is getting in there and saying, may I call this parent, Black, BSAP to Black parents, and make sure that they understand everything, and also school psychologists. We are tapping in to the DMH provider on campus, school psychologists, whoever we can to provide that emotional support and to help that young person with big emotions. Because I get it, when you see a student keep hitting the principal with the flagpole in the morning assembly while we trying to say the pledge or whatever, and the principal goes, you know what, I need you. So we come in and work with that principal, work with their school team. And like I said, Dr. Joyce, I'm so excited that I have been tapped by a superintendent to do this district-wide. And literally, before we left for vacation, I identified 10 schools who are over-identifying Black students as ED.
That's where I've been waiting to say it. Go right ahead and decode that for people, Dr. Compton.
And I told them, come on, meet with me, you 10 principals. Only 5 showed up.
Right.
So tomorrow schools start back up. This week we're headed to their schools. The 5 who didn't show up. So we'll just come to you. You didn't have time before break to see us. So now you're on the schedule for me to come to your school this week and just kind of see what's going on. And it's all in love, right, Dr. Joyce? I learned that from you. And as you smile, girl, you look so unthreatening. And I have learned how to do that so that people aren't so anti-Black. How to come in with love coming out my eyes, like Robbie. She'd be all dolled up, pretty. And I have to come in suited and booted so people respect what I got going on and want to hear how I'm here to help you and help your students. And it's okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Of course, I learned my soft touch from Ron Wilkins, right? But thank you so very much. Let's please follow up also with the Commission on Human Relations, Diversity and Equity in LAUSD and the Black Child Development Institute. Thanks to everyone who made this such an informative and meaningful and promising evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
And you see, that's why we call you Dr. Joyce. Okay, turn it off. turn her off so she can't fuss at me. Let's just give it up for our community celebrity. Awesome. Girl, you just one person. Man, Shirley. Oh my God. Okay, we gotta have her back, right? Yeah. We gotta have her back later in the year. We will. Okay, so this is how we close out our meeting. I want to thank all of you guys for coming because I really didn't expect so many people because I was like, it's cold outside. I didn't want to come because I was cold, but this warmed my heart. You were actually blessed by God. That's just all that is. I want to thank all of you, but I want to thank Joe from the Public Library. He brought us books, guys. You can't have Dr. Shirley, but he brought some wonderful books that you can have. These are free. These are free. These are free books. I'll bring a couple of them back that I already took because I want to look at them, especially the Prince one. But yeah, so he's going to bring us books every meeting. Isn't that a wonderful way to start 2024? Thank you, Joe. We're going to get you some extra books. Okay. So anyone want becoming? Alina said she read this already. She said she did. Okay, so it's up here for whoever wants it. Please take food in the bag. We don't want to take any of that home right yet. Okay, we're taking it home. But before you do that, we have, hold on. We're getting ready to close out. Everybody stand to their feet. Ron, you wanted to say something?
I just want to say it's really great, Dr. Shirley Hawkins, to see you after so many years. To see how you've developed, to see the work that you're putting in. I also want to say, I wrote in 1979, I wrote a expose on police in the schools, police in the LAUSD schools. And they were in schools that were predominantly Black, they were heavily armed, and they were 2, 3, or more. And the campuses were defined as closed campuses, even though those schools showed fewer crimes, whether they were sexual assaults or burglaries or whatever it was, than many of the schools that were predominantly white schools. The police need to be removed from the schools. I graduated from Fremont High School, and Fremont High School in Los Angeles, back in 1963, long time ago. But anyway, we used to call Fremont Prismont because everything was locked and closed and there were all these armed police. That needs to change, and I'm wondering in terms of making students feel comfortable in school and parents feel welcome and the community feel like the school belongs to them and represents them, the police need to be removed. This also is a police state. And when we talk about understanding our history and knowing our history, we need to know the United States is a criminal empire. The United States is founded on colonization, genocide, and slavery. People be very clear about history. I'm a historian. I'm a serious historian. I don't play. I don't take any prisoners. And you need to know. And the students, when they understand, when we talk about Africa, we talk about historically Black campuses, we should be going to historically Black campuses and being in alphas and kappas. We're not Greeks, we're African. We have to be very clear about that. And I'll stop because I don't want to go on too much.
No, brother, we got
time. Ultimately, the people who have exercised power in this country have been criminal, have been selfish, have been barbaric, and we need to take power away from them. And that's what our people in this society need to be developed and need to understand and be developed in a way to take the struggle to that level. We have to take power away from those who have the power. I'm very serious about that.
Okay, y'all know how we close this out real quick. Stay up here, Ron. Stay up here. I need you up here with me.
Okay, come on, you guys know we form a circle? We elbow, okay, we elbow, because it's cold season. Angela doesn't want to hold hands. Okay, for those who want to hold, we say, we do a salad. Can you do a salad for us? Yeah, where we do, our chains. That's what we do. Come on, oh, y'all want a big circle this time. It's okay, come on, you can join us, come on, Shirley. Singing, opens and closes for us, and we apologize for going, we're about to be a little bit over. So, okay, let's go, y'all ready?
Unmute everyone, unmute.
Unmute everybody.
Louise, unmute, everyone. Unmute.
Hello, Ron.
Everybody, that's Patricia Hoffman.
Patricia Hoffman.
Everybody.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
Doing well, it's good to see you.
Okay, so this is how we do this at Community Correctional Justice. We do a chant that is partially part of Asada Shakur. I routined it in a little bit, but what we say is, and we say it 3 times, and everybody online will say it as well. But each time we get a little louder. So it goes like this, right, Craig? It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It's our duty
to fight for freedom.
To win.
It is our duty
to win. Love and protect one another.
We must
love
and
protect one another.
Nothing to lose but our chains to break free from our chains.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect one another.
We must love and
Protect one another.
Lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to fight for freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
Love and protect one another.
We must love and protect one another.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Ashe.
Ashe.